that's our news for the past week and the upcoming week. So without further ado, let's dive into our special guest this week. Tonight on Louisiana Country Music Live, we're honored to have a New Orleans-born and Nashville-based multi-platinum, 5-time Grammy-nominated songwriter whose work has been recorded by a long list of major artists. He's the co-writer behind 3 Billboard Country #1 hits, including Jason Aldean's Take a Little Ride, Brantley Gilbert's You Don't Know Her Like I Do, love that song, and Gabby Barrett's The Good Ones. And The Good Ones earned CMA Song of the Year nomination and won American Music Award for Favorite Country Song. But beyond the hits, he's also been a leader in the songwriting community, serving as board governor and vice president for the Recording Academy and on the NSAI board. He's a longtime songwriting educator, including Loyola University in New Orleans, where he was recognized with a Lifetime Achievement Award from Cutting Edge Music Conference. Welcome to Louisiana Country Music Live, Mr. Jim McCormick.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, bud.
What's up, brother? How are you?
All's well, man. Doing good in the Big Easy. You know?
Yeah. Are you in New Orleans tonight?
I'm in New Orleans tonight. This week is my week in New Orleans.
I think you might have. Okay.
You getting me?
So do you go back and forth? Is that how you're set up these days?
Yeah. I split my time between the 2 cities. It's pretty nice. It's a good rhythm, and they're both great cities, and it's nice to step away from the songwriting for a little bit and come back to it fresh and re-energize and let them miss me for a minute and get back into it.
That's right, man. And 2 great cities, man. 2 great cities that have what I call, I'm one of those energy weirdos, and both cities have good creative energy.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, great places to be. Yeah.
I think you're freezing up a little bit on your side. I think it'll probably catch up and work through it in a second.
What's going on?
Teresa Bender Manry says, hi, Jim. So,
hi, Teresa.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay on my side, Jim?
Just fine. Just fine. Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay. Well, man, tell us a little bit about growing up in New Orleans, man, and how that sort of influenced you as a person and as a musician.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was pretty much, I used to tell a buddy of mine it was perfect suburban America. I mean, as far as I was concerned as a child, you didn't know that you were growing up in a unique and wonderful city at all, except for the fact that, every Monday Mom made red beans, and the rest of the week was jambalaya and etouffee and gumbo. And, of course, all of the radio, the music on the radio was, I was a classic rock kid. That was really with the dominant format on the radio. But, it would go from Led Zeppelin to the Neville Brothers to Pink Floyd to Dr. John. And I thought that was just part of everybody's playlist growing up. But back then, radio stations could program their own music, so it was a very sort of locally championed culture by everybody. I mean, so like as a child, it just kind of seeps into you, right? And the way that your family talks and the way your neighbors talk, and you might go down to the French Quarter for a holiday dinner or something like that, and you see the architecture on St. Charles Avenue and Uptown and stuff, and it wasn't until I went away to college that I realized that I had come from a place that was unique in all of its different ways, and gave me a great appreciation for where I came from as I got older and started to leave town for a little bit. But growing up, the music just seeps into you, and it's in the way people talk. It's in everything. And jazz had such and rhythm and blues, New Orleans rhythm and blues had such a presence that it was Harry Connick Jr. went to high school with me, and he would do these brown bag concerts, but he wasn't the only cat doing it. It was just like music was everywhere, and the marching band, the St. Aug Marching 100 during the Mardi Gras parades was just like, I mean, they were the best brass band in town, and all of that stuff kind of like seeps into you. It's a great place to grow up and absorb all of that. if you're looking to be a musician, which I was not. I was not looking to be a songwriter or anything like that. And you know, I could kind of hold a tune when I was like 15 or so, and I had a deep voice for a boy that age. And there was believe it or not, there was an all instrumental rock band, blues rock band at Jesuit High School where I went to school, and they were all my same grade. We were freshmen or sophomores, and they were looking for a lead singer. And I was starting to take voice lessons, thinking that I might go sing, you know, opera or Broadway show tunes or something like that. I had a great voice teacher, and man, I joined that rock band so fast. My voice teacher, she dropped me. She was so angry. She was so mad, and but she wasn't going to put up with it. And that was it. That was the beginning of me starting to write songs, and we had rehearsals. In fact, I just drove by the house where we used to rehearse uptown this evening with my little boy, and I showed him. I said, you know, Dad used to practice in there every Saturday and Sunday. That was what I did in high school. And I mean, we were just, you know, we loved it, and we had a little gig. We had one of us had an aunt who worked as a bartender at what was then called Jed's or Muddy Waters. And the Tuesday night slot was free. There was nobody that played music on Tuesday nights. We were 15 years old. And she said, you know, if y'all promise me you won't try to drink, I'll let you have Tuesday nights. And they didn't pay us anything. We just had tips maybe. But we were 15 years old. You could drive at 15 by yourself in New Orleans. And I think about it now, it's like Mom and Dad gave me their car, and I would leave out on Tuesday nights and go play this gig for 2 hours with my band and come home by midnight or whatever. And we had faculty members showing up. We had all kinds of friends that would come out on Tuesday nights. It was just
you were just great. Thinking that was a normal 15-year-old life, huh?
I guess. I mean, you know, there were four. We were 4 or 5. We were 5 guys, and we were a band, and that was the coolest thing in the world. You know, and it was even cooler to the girls that we knew. So I wasn't going to get out of that. That was a good racket that we had. But that was kind of just it, you know. And just like I wasn't going to be a songwriter or in a rock band, and I went off to college, and I formed another rock band with some buddies who wanted to have a band, and so we put a band together. And you know, then graduating from college, I called the old high school guys, and I'm like, "What are y'all doing?" And they were getting out of Tulane, and they were like, man, I don't know. I said, you won't put the band back together? And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And so we put the band back together, and we stayed, we wrote some songs, and we got good enough to make a couple records and go on the road. And that was really like a high water mark. You know, we were 4 childhood best friends, and we wrote songs, and we traveled the Southeast U.S. to all the college towns in a van, you know, eating 99-cent menu items and sleeping 4 guys to a Motel 6. And, you know, we'd break even every weekend. We'd go out Wednesday to Sunday, and we'd break even every weekend, but we never made any money. But we had the time of our lives, man. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Dude, if you told me right now you could break even in the next month, but go have the time of your life, I'd be like, yeah, I'll take that right now. Heck yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And I knew back then that we were having the time of our life. I knew it, you know, and we got to play with a lot of great bands, you know, Better Than Ezra and the Radiators and the Neville Brothers, the Subdudes, Continental Drifters, Cowboy Mouth, Dash Rip Rock. Like a lot of our, you know, that scene in the 90s was really hot. And all those bands took us on the road, man. We had a blast.
I'm going to read a couple of these comments real quick because they're kind of moving down, and I don't want to. So Jason Sorrell says, hey, Jim. Jared Lane says, my boy. Luke Laird says, hope you didn't tell him everything else you did in high school. and then Blake Rice says, what's up, Jim? This is your cousin Blake. So
I know them all. That's great. Good friends. Yeah. Thank you, Ronnie.
I love to read the comments throughout. I know it breaks up the interview a little bit, but I just love it because I like them being part of it, man.
Yeah,
I love them joining us. To me, these things are about me and you, and then everybody else. It's just a big fun Tuesday night. So
I love it.
Yeah, man. So did you have like family members that played and sang, or
not that I knew of? So here's the crazy thing. My dad, you know, he went to a military academy, and he was a merchant marine, and he sailed as a first mate for a long time, and then he was in the maritime business as a businessman. And you know, he was like your typical, you know, Irish Catholic from Chicago. He didn't say much about his personal life and all that. And it wasn't until, I mean, I don't even know, man. I was well into Nashville. Yeah, you know, I was in my 40s. And my mom tells me one day we're just driving to go have lunch, and she's like, you know, your dad knows how to play piano. And it was like, I was like, pulled the car. It's like, you know, almost like, it was like saying, you know, he's not really your dad. It was like, wait, what are you talking about, Mom? You know, and she's like, yeah, he never really wanted you to know, you know, but yeah, he could sit down. When I met him, he could sit down, he could play classical piano. And I was just like, okay, that's a whole rewiring that I got to do about my dad. But to be honest, his uncle James was a career speakeasy piano player in Chicago during Prohibition. And that's the only other musician really that we had in the family that I knew about. Ironically named James also.
Wow. That's funny, man. Of all the things to hide,
Right?
It could be worse, man. You could get
right. Well, sometimes I wish I could hide it from my sons. You know, it's like, oh, guys, you don't want any part of this. You know, but it's okay.
I'm gonna keep rolling, man, because I know I want to respect your time tonight, because I know you got your boys and you got homework and all that to do. And there's a lot of things that I want to hit, man. And Amanda Sasser says, this is so cool. Hey, Jim.
Hi, Amanda.
But
I love it.
There you go. So you mentioned you mentioned writing. So you went to college at Georgetown, if I'm not mistaken, and then you went to Nashville?
Yes, sir.
At what point did you start writing? Like actually saying, I'm just going to sit down and put pen to paper.
I mean,
and how bad was it when you first started doing it?
It was so bad, right? It was basically 100 versions of the same song for the girl next door when I was 13 years old, who didn't like me back. You know, it was just, and I wrote them on I still remember I wrote them on a Sears guitar, a red Sears guitar that a buddy of mine loaned me. But that was the beginning of me writing, but I was already writing poetry as a kid. I don't know what all that was about, but I always loved words and tinkering with words, and I still do to this day. And you know, of course, I was writing for the rock band in high school and in college and after college and all that. But the difference is that, you know, I was the mule. I was the one who had to sing those songs on stage, so it didn't really matter if they made any sense, or like I was going to sing them no matter what they said. And the thing about going to Nashville to write songs for other people is they kind of have to understand what you're talking about, right? What the song is about. And it sounds ridiculous to say now, but like I really had to learn that and learn how to be clear and deliberate. And you keep a little bit of the poetry in there, but you know, I mean, growing up, I was like a big REM and Pink Floyd, you know, it's all the bong water. You don't know what they're talking about really, right? But it's beautiful, but lyrically it's a mess. But you know, so that was the difference. So, you know, I kind of think of my writing life starting in earnest when I went to Nashville, but there was a lot of practice in a different kind of thing.
You had dabbled before.
I had dabbled, and I'd written enough poetry that had to be clear. You know, I knew how to string a subject, verb, predicate together. I could write a sentence. So you know, Nashville kind of wants it clear. Okay, I could do that.
Yeah, if you can get Georgetown, you can write a song in Nashville. You figured out how to. Yeah, so you went from high school to Georgetown. Is that correct? That is correct, right?
I did 1 year at Loyola University, and
1 year. Okay.
In New Orleans. You know, I was not a good student in high school at all. I had a rock band, right? I mean,
well, you were hanging out at 15 playing shows on a Tuesday night. That might have had something to do with it.
Right. You know, I was not a good student, and my boys have heard me tell this story. It's like one of the best things that happened to me, it was kind of a happy accident, is, you know, I just kind of fell out of high school and went to Loyola University freshman year. But my mom and dad let me live on campus in the dormitory. And what happened there really changed the course of my life, because everybody in my dorm that I hung out with, a bunch of great guys, they were from St. Louis and Cincinnati and Pensacola, and they were in New Orleans, man. And every single night they wanted to go out to all the bars that I'd been going to for the last 3 years, including the bars that I've been playing gigs at. And I was like, I'm not doing this for another 4 years. No way. Like I want to go have the experience that they're having in New Orleans in another city. And I resolved to put myself in the library after dinner every single night. And I didn't leave the library until David Letterman was starting up, and we'd all gather in somebody's room and watch Letterman, and I'd go right to bed and wake up and do it all again. And, I was maybe a 3.2, 3.3 kind of high school student. I scored 4.0 2 semesters in a row. And, I just knew that like I had to do that if I really wanted to get out. And my dad, luckily, was a successful businessman, and he was able to tell me, you get in, I'll find a way to send you wherever you want to go. And the funny thing is that from my high school, there were already 7 guys at Georgetown in my class.
Yeah,
from my class. Yeah. So it made the transition look really easy, right? And I was like, I'm going to go there because I've already got 7 buddies, And DC was a cool town, Georgetown's a cool little area of town stuff. So that's how that kind of happened. And I'm so grateful that it did. It's a wonderful.
Well, time. I do want to say a while ago that I wasn't a very good student in high school, and I agreed and said me either. But as that story went along, I realized, wait a second, you said I had like a 3.2 or 3.3. Then I was like, okay, he's talking about something different than me. I was really a bad student. If I would have had a 3.3, I would have been like, yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
So how did you get all that? Let's talk about getting into Nashville. And we already talked about a while ago, like a little bit of the adjustment. I know you were joking to some degree about the adjustment of Nashville, but what was the adjustment whenever you first rolled into Nashville, and how long did it take you to kind of find your groove and get that first break?
So I'll say this, that like while I had that rock band, there were 2 songwriters that kind of had a profound effect on me. One of them is Pat McLaughlin, and my band would open for Pat every time he came to Nashville. But I knew that Pat was also a successful songwriter for other people. And he was such a likable guy, and I admired his performing so much and his writing. And he just kind of said, man, you ever want to come check it out, let me know. And another guy was a guy named Chris Bergsness, who was friends with Kim Carson, who was a dear friend of mine here in New Orleans. She was a radio DJ for WNOE, and she had a country band, right? And
I know Kim, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kim, right? So Kim introduced me to Chris, and the 2 of them kind of said that, around 1995, 96, whatever. Well, fast forward to the band being done, and I'm like, I went to work for a magazine for a little while, and I hated working 9 to 5. I just hated it. And I was like, I'm gonna call those guys up and take them up on it. And I went up to Nashville, and I saw what it was. I saw there was a job called songwriter, and I'm like, I'm getting this job. And Chris let me sleep on his couch for 4 years, right? I would go up and I'd write songs for 2 weeks at a time, 3-4 times a day, and come back to New Orleans and hang sheetrock and paint houses. I had a very understanding girlfriend in New Orleans who was wonderful. And I just did that. I did that for 4 years, I'd go out and see Pat, and, I just kind of stayed at it. But I was like a kid looking in the window at a candy store. And I just knew, like, man, if I can get in there, I'm going to have the time of my life. And I fell in with a good bunch of guys, it's not lost on me at all how lucky I was to fall in with the guys that I did. And, there were 100 of us back then, and today there's 30 of us or 25 of us, and we all know who each other is, and everybody's been really fortunate and blessed. And it's just been a great ride, man. If and I stayed at it, man. I was like a horse going back to the stables. And, I just kind of told myself, well, Jim, one day you're going to turn 40. And do you want to turn 40 saying, I think I could have, And I was like, no way. I got to really try. I got to take a shot, but you got to have a little bit of foolhardiness in you. You got to
Yeah.
have a belief in yourself, but you also have to have blinders on, kind of, and really just, you know, you can't listen to all the voices, you know. And for me, it was just there were enough little markers along the way, whether it was encouragement from superiors or mentors, or just little successes with my friends and my peers, enough little markers that were encouraging that kept me going, like breadcrumbs.
Let me ask you that. Do you remember a couple of those little, like, it might not even been, I mean, obviously now you've got Grammy nominations and this and that, but do you remember some of those little things that you were like, man, I might be able to do this, like, that kind of encouraged you along the way or gave you that next?
Yeah, there was a songwriting contest, and I remember the poster was like a Garth Brooks. All the Garth Brooks writers had signed their names, and like they gave that out to like the forerunner, and the first place got the money prize. But I placed high in that, and I don't know if it was American Songwriter or NSAI or what it was, but I won that early on, and I just remember I still have it framed in my place in Nashville. You know, it's just like that was a big deal at the moment. You know, and if you'd have told that version of me that I would have what I have today, you know, I'm not sure how I would have come undone. You know, it's just. But when you're looking into the candy store, like I said, and you just got that fire in you, you know, I've heard other people say it too, and it's true. It's like there's almost not a happier time in life when you've discovered something that you love so much that you would pour everything you have into it and everything you are into it. And that you feel that fire in you every morning when you wake up. You know, it's a wonderful gift. Next to my little boys, it's the thing I'm most grateful for in my life. The fact that I still love this ridiculous thing, writing, as much as I did when I first started out. You know, it's just great.
Yeah, I hear that over and over whenever I talk to successful songwriters who have been doing it for a long time, and I hear that same thing. And it's just it's different, man. You have to be wired different, and it's tough, but they all say they couldn't do anything else. It's like, this is what I just had to do, you know, could not do it.
Yeah. I mean, I just, you know, the dirty little secret is you do it for free. You know, you really would. It's all right.
Yeah. I see Shelbo down here. It says, everybody loves Jim, and I love seeing good things happen to good people. That is our gifted Jim.
Love him.
That looks like a YouTube name, so I'm not sure what the full name is.
Love it. Got some good friends out there. That's all right. Thank you.
No doubt about it, man. So there's a lot of people don't understand. There's a lot of different parts to writing a song. You know, you've got your hook guy, you got your lyrics, you got your structure, your melody. Like, it goes on and on of different parts of a song. And all songwriters have to wear different hats at some point or another. You can't just be one or the other. But do you feel like you have like a particular strength when you walk into a room on one of those?
Well, it's not playing guitar. I'll tell you that. So for me, it's really about, you know, coming with the best idea that I can, and then helping to craft that lyric to the hilt. You know, just making it remarkable at every turn, trying to say something, you know, that's just remarkable, whatever that may be, you know, whether it's heartfelt or fun or clever or just so honest, whatever. But you know, for me, you know, I consider myself a lyricist first. I can muddle through a performance at a songwriters festival on my guitar, but you know, I like to say, if I'm playing guitar in the writing session, we should just go have lunch. You know, it's the truth.
I'm feeling you on that one.
It's the truth. Ask CJ.
I feel you on it. I write with CJ a lot, so I'm like, here, dude, you just take it.
Right?
I feel silly even holding one.
I know.
Yeah. That's good. That's actually encouraging to hear, man. I'm glad.
Yeah, you know, and I used to bring my guitar to writing sessions, and I know I got some friends out there who are like, you need to still bring a guitar. But the truth is, once I started kind of identifying as a lyricist primarily, my publishers were able to connect me with co-writers whose skill sets complemented mine better.
Yeah.
And I feel like it accelerated my work in a real productive way. You know, I think it was a smart thing to do, because then I was in the room with guys who could really handle the heavy lifting of chord structures and melodies and singing and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about fit in anything you do in life. If you get around the right team, the right people, it makes it a lot easier to put yourself in a position to be successful, right?
Surround yourself with great talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Before we get into some of your music, man, I just had one more question about Nashville, you moving there and everything, because we do have a lot of, up and coming writers that watch this show and everything. And I always like to just kind of dig in a little bit on that. But what was your most difficult adjustment moving to Nashville? Like, what was the thing that kind of maybe shocked you the most or took you the longest to learn or whatever?
Man, I really don't, I think I probably had a long, hard time of it, but it didn't feel like it. I don't have anything that comes to mind being super difficult. Patience, I guess, but I was a pretty patient person already. I think, I took a real long view of what I was doing. And, I say I slept on that couch for 4 years. I was prepared to sleep on that couch for 10 years. I really was. But, there were times when it was hard to kind of muster up that patience again and remind myself, just dig in, keep painting those houses, keep hanging that sheetrock, just keep doing, like I say, there were enough breadcrumbs along the way. Whenever I'd get kind of down in the mouth about things, one of those breadcrumbs would show up and I'd be okay again for another 6 months, kind of thing,
Yeah. So that's actually good advice, man, because in today's world, we're all kind of like, I want it now, and I want it tomorrow or yesterday or whatever. And so patience is a lost art. So I'm glad I feel like that's good advice for people.
Oh, it's so important. It's so important. At the same time, while you're being patient, you need to be working every single day, doing at least one thing for your would-be career every day. And, and to be honest, it's still that kind of a game. It's, things don't happen very fast in Nashville until they do. And you just got to be patient. And, I told my publisher, Penny Gaddis, not long ago that I said, I think, it's like, in the last few months I've developed, and I hope it doesn't go away, but I've developed this strange superpower as a songwriter to be comfortable with how slowly things move. And it's just not bothering me. And I think there's something to that. If you can just kind of stay at the level of enjoying the craft and getting in the room with another writer and making something out of nothing and really loving that process every day, the scoreboard will take care of itself. You don't need to work. Just stay focused on doing your best on the court. The rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, no doubt. I think about Nick Saban all the time, man. He's process, and,
Right.
and exactly what you're saying. And I mean, if you can learn to dominate the process and to be present, because if you're thinking about something else, you're not going to be very good in the room anyway. So you have to be present to be good, and you have to respect the process to be present. So that's it. All kind of works together. But you've written some bangers over the years, man. You've written a lot of great songs with for a lot of big artists. You got three number ones that and a lot of big hits, man. Do you have any that? And we could talk about those, but just for the sake of time, do you have any that, whether they're those songs or any other songs, that really stand out to you as like your favorites, or some that maybe mean more to you or something like that?
I mean, I tell you what I'm excited about right now really is Matt Stell, Sugarcoat, and Emily Ann Roberts, Come Home to You, and Kaylee Rose, Going Blonde. It's like, I guess we all love the things that are most recent. But I'm super proud of those three, especially, the song that Emily Ann Roberts recorded. You don't really get to, kind of see things like that, see the light of day that often. And I'm very grateful to her for having the courage to cut that song, and so glad that it's seeing the light of day, and that it's touching people. I really am.
It's one of the things that I noticed just from kind of prepping for tonight and everything is you got some really great songs for female artists. Like
I don't know how it
where's
happened.
Where's that come from?
Like, I don't know. I guess I'm in touch with my sensitive side, but I'm real grateful for it. I'll tell you what. It's funny, I was talking to my publisher Courtney Chris the other day about it, and just like the last 5 or 6 cuts I've gotten, besides Matt Stell, have all been women, and I'm just like, let's let it roll, let's go. All right, whatever, I'm fine with it, and no, I mean, I'm grateful to be at the party for all of the reasons, and all the songs, they're all like your babies, you hope the best for them, and so many of them never see the light of day. And it's always a great joy when one gets out and somebody wants to put it out. It's great.
We had at Manship a couple of weeks ago, or about a month ago, I guess, it was Lee Thomas Miller, Tim Nichols, and Wendell Mobley. And,
terrible people, horrible people. Yeah,
we ended up at the hotel bar after and hanging out a little bit. Wendell went to bed, but Tim and Lee, we were down there, and I was asking them because he was telling me like, you're going to miss this. I almost never got cut and this and that. And I'm like, man, how can anybody hear that and not think that that's a huge number one? And he said, one thing I've learned is everything is deniable. he said, he said, he said, sometimes you leave the room and you're like, that's the best song we've ever written. There's no way. And they're like, we'll get back with you. And he's like, everything is deniable.
Yeah. You can't get hung up on it, And again, back to your point about staying with the process, and just like, if you can just stay there and stay grateful for that, the rest will take care of itself. You got no control over it once you leave the writing room. And there's so many factors that go into a song getting recorded, let alone getting on the radio and succeeding, that, you do yourself no favor worrying about all that other stuff. Just let it go. And, it's a ridiculous business plan. This is your business plan, right? It's absurd, but we love it. So we do it.
It's really the craziest business plan of all time. Like it's insane to go in and be like, the odds are stacked against me greater than probably being an NFL player. But there's more NFL players on teams today than there are successful songwriters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. But so you had a big number one, man, and CMA Song of the Year nomination with the good ones, and I went back and listened to it over the last couple of days, and just I listened to it differently because I was going to interview you, and just man, I always knew it was a great song, but the more I listened to it, I was like, that's really, really a good song. So tell us real briefly kind of how that song to be and what that Song of the Year nomination meant to you.
That was big. That was a big deal. The song, the song almost didn't get written. The song was written with Zach Cale and Emily Landis and Gabby. And the night before, Zach and Emily and I had an appointment the next day, and I was walking out of BMG at like 7:30 at night. Nobody else was there except Rakaya Marshall, who was my publisher. And she said, hey, there's this third place American Idol winner who's in town from Pittsburgh. There's no record label, but Red Light is working with her, the management company. And they want to plug her in on some writing sessions. Would it be if she joins you and Emily and Zach tomorrow? And I was just tired and grumpy. And I was like, I don't know, would it? I was kind of a jerk. I look back at it, I laugh about it. I'm just like, and thank God Rakaya looked at me and was like, yeah, I think it would. And I'm like, okay, then I'll see her there, and that's how close it came to not happening. Right. So I every time I can, I give her all the credit where credit is due, because if she not just said yes for me, Zach and Emily never would have spoken to me again. Right. But Gabby showed up. She was lovely. She was 18 years old at the time. And we sat in a room the size of a closet, which was enough for two people, but you get four people in there, it gets a little tight. But we all got along real fast. And Gabby said that she wanted to write something for her then boyfriend, now husband, Cade. And Emily had this title called He's One of the Good Ones, The Good Ones. And Gabby loved it. And I loved it. We were all game, right? And Zach went to work on the track, and we had a little melody going. And, you know, as I remember, like the song kind of just fell out. We all kind of passed the ball around the room, and lyrically things kind of came together. There's a lot of wordplay in there that I'm awfully proud of, and that I really had a great time putting together with them. You know, just a lot of fun writing that song. And I'll be honest with you, you know, when you're writing a song, oftentimes the singer or whoever's doing the vocal will just kind of sing in a kind of a muted little songwriter voice, right? Nothing too big. We're not cutting a record, right? We're just kind of da 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 da. Well, at the end of the day, Gabby stood up at the microphone to sing, give Zach a vocal track that he could then mix into the demo. And it was like the second coming of Miley Cyrus. The room vibrated. And I was like, oh, this is going to be special. Like she had an amazing voice. You know, that's why she made it to third place on American Idol. And it was I came away from that day thinking, all right, I like our chances. You know, I really do. And then it was a few months. And she had that great success with that song, I Hope, which was a big crossover hit. And then we got the call that we were going to be the second single. And, you know, that's music to a songwriter's ears when you've had a big hit, and following on that, you're going to have the next single, because the artist has a tailwind, right? There's a lot of momentum. Yeah. Hopefully you get to ride. So again, I liked our odds, and, you know, things just kept unfolding in our favor, and they unfolded all the way up until a CMA nomination for Song of the Year. And that'll stop you in your tracks. You know, it's like, out of all the thousands of songs written and recorded that year, you get selected as one of the 5 songs by your peers in the community. And, you know, it really made me stop and kind of take stock of how good I'd had it and how fortunate I had been. And, you know, the culmination of that, the ceremony and everything, I brought my little sister with me as my date, and it was such a sweet moment to kind of like have my home life, my family life folded in with my professional life, you know. And she was with me sitting next to Stapleton and Nicole Kidman and everybody else and Luke Combs, and she was just kind of taking it all in. And I could see, I could see like, wow, okay, wow. And Luke Bryan, who's a great friend, and he was hosting with Katy Perry and Lionel Richie that year, came over and jumped on her lap and gave her a big old kiss and was like, I love your brother. And she looked at me like, what is happening? What is going on? And
you're like, all these years I've been trying to tell you I was cool.
So she you know, I put her on a plane the next day, and she goes home, and my mom calls me a couple days later, and mom says, do you want to know what the takeaway was for your sister? And I'm like, yeah, what'd she say? She said, Mom, they really like him up there. Classic little sister comment. Like, my dick brother is really liked by those people, right? You know?
I don't get it. Like, I just
right. I don't get it. So yeah, it was beautiful. It was sweet.
Man, that's funny, man. Let's talk about the Grammy nominations for a minute, man. That's a big deal, dude. I mean, big deal. Growing up in New Orleans, you mentioned Dr. John, like you've got these musical icons and all of that. You know, you grow up there, you make it on your own in the music business. What's it like to get that first Grammy nomination?
I mean, it's a high honor, you know. I mean, the Grammy nominations were a part of the albums being nominated for Album of the Year kind of thing in the country category, and those nominations were Randy Travis and Trisha Yearwood, and you know, some of the biggest legends that I've ever been fortunate enough to have songs cut by. And so, you know, you start playing in that ballpark, and it just makes you take things more seriously. I think when you go in for the day, you realize that like, okay, it's possible. I think one of the things that success did for me along the way was just open up the sense of possibility that every day has locked inside of it. It's like, don't slouch, don't sleep on any day, man. Like this could be $1 million day. And because I never, I didn't know any of the other ones were going to be as big as they were. So, it just kind of gave me a sense of the potentiality of every day, and take it a little more seriously, or just be a little more present. Just give it everything you got, don't leave anything on the floor.
I like that, man. Yeah. That's because you never know what day is going to be the day.
No, if I did,
yeah,
I'd go play golf every other day if I did.
Yeah. So we actually talked a little bit on the phone this morning, and we chatted, and I had seen this, and I wanted to make sure I could ask you about it because I wasn't even sure if it was true because of the stuff you see on the internet. But so you recently participated in a songwriting showdown between human and AI.
Yes.
And
yes.
This is actually the first time that I had even thought of it or heard of it or anything like that. What in the world is this, and how did it came to be, and what was it, and who won?
Yeah, well, I'll save that. That'll be the cliffhanger. But I was asked to come speak at Georgetown to the music department, and Ben, who runs the department, is a great guy, and he had the idea. He said, why don't we do a lyric showdown between you and AI, and we'll get the prompts from the audience. So after a kind of an interview and a Q&A, we did this thing where we collected, everybody in the audience wrote down a title, and we put them in a hat, and somebody drew it out, and we had this title. I don't even know what it was called, Daddy's Whiskey or something like that. And the two women who were in charge of the AI, they fed it in with some prompts. And to make it fair, I said, let's just write a chorus to a song. Like, otherwise the AI will be done in 15 seconds and take me, 20 minutes or whatever at least. But so we wrote the chorus, and AI, ChatGPT, tried and did write this chorus that had this convoluted melody and moral to the story and all that kind of weird, and it was heavy, but it was left-footed, and it was just, okay, all right, whatever. That's AI's chorus. And I wrote a chorus that was kind of funny and light and like a ditty. Now, I didn't self-proclaim that I won either, by the way. That's not what happened. But I wrote this thing, and then we let the audience vote, and it was almost unanimous that they picked my chorus. Now, they've not just been being nice, but that was the little part of the game that we played, and it was fun, And I'll say this about AI, that the ability of AI to make a demo, to produce an audio track, is really impressive. The ability of AI to write a country lyric is not impressive at all. So so far, I don't feel any threat from the lyric writing ability of AI. Now, hold on, Ultra Gemini might come out next, or some of these Blackwell chips are going to come out, and we'll see what it can do. But so far, I'm feeling job security with the lyrics. But and people are sometimes concerned about Suno and the audio capabilities of AI, but it just can produce a great demo. And to be fair, we've always been able to record a great demo of a shitty song, right? So, I mean, AI is not doing anything we haven't done before, but you still got to have that song, that lyric and that melody that just moves people. That's remarkable.
I agree, man. I just had this conversation this past weekend with, it's a tool that you can plug something in and get a quick demo. And if you're an independent person who can't afford to do a demo, that's great for you. But yeah, I agree with you. Your boys running around you?
No, let me get I don't have my power cord with me, and we're about to go AI. Let me
go ahead. I'll chat with the comments over here. There we go. We got man, thanks for hanging on with us tonight. Look, if you guys are enjoying this tonight, and I see a couple of people on here who join us pretty often on Tuesday nights, but if you're just here for Jim tonight, I encourage you Tuesday night right here, Country Music Live, because you get the opportunity to meet Jim's Jared Lane was on here earlier. There's all sorts of talent from Louisiana. So join us every Tuesday night, and you'll be able to just have a great night like we're having tonight. Feel free to chime in comments. Are we plugged back in?
All right, we're back in business, baby.
I was doing an impromptu promo.
You did so well.
I told him you were going to be doing $100 giveaway at the end, so I don't know. Oh, dude. So let's real quick dive into your AI thoughts, man, because it is a big topic in today's world as far as the music. Well, everything, but music also. What are your thoughts on it, and just in general?
I mean, it's impressive. Like I said, what it can do audio wise. I still think that you can kind of tell when it's an AI demo. You know, I don't prefer an AI demo, even for the convenience or the inexpensive cost, the free. But I'll tell you what I think. You know, it's as it gets better and better. It reminds me of microwave ovens when I was a kid. And, you know, when the microwave oven when it first came around, right, it was like, of all the moms on the block, there were only like 2 that got a microwave oven. I remember. And all the other moms were like, I ain't getting that microwave. I don't know what that's going to do to my food. I care about my family, right? But I swear it took like 6 months, no more than a year, before every mom had a microwave oven. And that was just the convenience overpowering any kind of caution or hesitancy. And I think that something similar is probably going to take place with AI and the creation of music. And you know, but you know, like I said, you need that song. And you know, I don't know, man. It's like you need that lyric and you need that melody that moves people, whether it's getting them dancing or getting them crying. And I don't see AI, you know, really mastering that ability, at least not in the foreseeable future. I could be wrong. I could be real wrong, you know, but I love the job too much to give it up to AI. Even if AI gets better than me, I'm still going to be doing it, you know?
Yeah, there's got to be something done, man. I agree though. I don't think it's as good as humans right now anyway. So,
no.
It's got some advantages, but I think it still doesn't feel human, like you said a while ago. No, you can hear it, and you know when it's human, and you know when it's not. Yeah, there's certain human emotions that just hit you. Yeah. Let's see, man, and I don't want to keep you all night, man. But so, like I said, we've got a lot of up and coming artists that watch this. So, just a few quick questions, because you do teaching, and you're known as like a mentor and a teacher and all of that. And you do stuff, if I'm not mistaken, at Loyola and all of that, like I said earlier. So I had a few questions to ask if you put your teacher hat on, I guess.
Yeah.
So first one, what originally motivated you to start teaching songwriting? And then what do you hope students take with you when they leave your class?
So what originally motivated me to start teaching songwriting was that I could make a little extra money. You know, during the time that I had a rock band, I went and got an MFA in poetry, and that's a Master of Fine Arts. And in the academic world, that's a terminal degree, which means you can't go any further. There's no PhD in fine arts. Actually, there is now, but back then that was a terminal degree. And these universities, they only like to hire those who have had the highest degree in their field. So having a terminal degree, I knew that I was hireable by a university. Well, when Loyola University started up a music business program, and I was bouncing back and forth like I am now still, between Nashville and New Orleans, I approached them and said, "How about you do a craft of songwriting workshop?" And they were like, "Well, who's going to teach it?" I said, "I'll teach it." They're like, "You don't have a terminal degree." I said, "Actually, I do have a terminal degree." And so then we began the negotiation, and it was a nice little supplement to the income. But I always liked teaching, and in grad school, I was an English TA. I enjoy it all the time. You know, it's like I don't do it anymore. I think you kind of have an expiration date as a teacher. You know, it's like I just kind of ran. But I did like 15 years of it at the university level, and it was a joy until it wasn't. But I think, you know, the things that I would tell my students are the same things that we've talked about here, about being present, about loving the process. Don't try to do it if you just think you love having hits or anything like that. Like, that's not what it's really about. And don't chase anything, you know, really write from your own perspective. You're the only person who can be the best you. Nobody else could beat you at being you, but they'll beat you at being them if you're trying to be them, you know. Just all those things, you know, and then I'd call it, a buddy of mine used to call it time behind the pen. You know, you got to put those hours in writing. You just
10,000 hour rule. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You gotta get to that. And the only way to do that is to write every day as much as you can. You know, I used to have a great teacher. He'd say, "A writer writes. Are you a writer or not? A writer writes. You know, did you write today?" And, you know, a writer doesn't wear a fancy hat. A writer doesn't smoke anything in particular. A writer doesn't, wear whatever. A writer writes. So, you know, and that's always stayed with me. Keep the main thing, right? And that's harder than it sounds. Everything else is a distraction. You know, and it took me a little while in Nashville to realize that, like, the only reason I'm at the party is because of the words that I help write in these songs. That's it. I'm not there because I go to cocktail parties. I'm not there because, you know, of any other reason than the work that I do in the room with my fellow writers. And that's when you know, that kind of clarity, I try to bring the students to it as fast as I can. It took me a long time. I don't expect them to get it right off the bat, but I mean, they're 19, 20 years old, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to listen to an old fart.
So whenever even not necessarily teaching, but just whenever you hear up and comers in Nashville and you hear their songs, maybe they're bringing their first few songs up or whatever. What are the most common kind of gaps that you hear that they're good, but they're not there yet? Does that make any sense?
Yeah. You mean in the work itself?
Not necessarily like vocally, but just in crafting a song, like
in the writing.
What's the most common part that you're still like they're just not quite there yet?
I think I'll just seize on this right now. There's a few things that would come to mind, but clarity, and I think clarity is underrated, especially for writers who are kind of new to the craft. I mentioned earlier how Nashville likes things clear, but I'm not picking on Nashville for that. There's a real value to the clarity being crystalline, so that when the song is going over the air, people are listening to the song in real time. They don't have a lyric sheet in front of them, and you have the movie in your head. You, the writer, know what it is that this is about, but the person listening to it, they've never heard this before. And so you've got to kind of lead them from one scene to the other, from one thought to the other, seamlessly, without them even knowing that you're doing it, so that they don't miss a beat and they don't have a moment of, wait, what? And so clarity is so important to kind of cast that spell uninterruptedly on a listener. And I think it's lost on a lot of new writers a lot of times. You'll hear the lyric and you'll read the lyric and you'll be like, well, there's some missing information here. Like, well, who is this person? Or where's this going on? Or what is that? And usually it's a product of trying to put too much into a song, I think. It can be.
Yeah. I think so you did some stuff. You've been a part of NSAI. That's correct, right?
Yes. I love them so much. They're great.
Yeah. So whenever I first started writing, that's whenever I became a member of NSAI, and I tell people to this day, one of the most valuable resources that I've ever come across was their song submission. And if I'm not mistaken, you can select like 3 levels. It's like, give it to me easy, blah, 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 or just tell me the truth. And those are very valuable tools because it taught me, I think whenever I'm not a great writer, but I think whenever I first started writing, I didn't understand like progressing the story. Sometimes I would say the same thing a couple of times. And then I started getting very aware of it after they started making, it's like, okay, if you already said that, don't say it again. Now let's move on to the next thought. And, and it's little things like that. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think that's kind of what you're saying is like, you have to keep the story moving because you only have 3 minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I tell them too, that like, there's nothing that I could teach you in a semester or even in 5 years that writing 100 songs isn't going to teach you better. Really the best teacher is doing it yourself, and you get to know who you are as a writer and who you are in the room with other writers. That's the best teacher. And I think that's why, it's so important for young writers to kind of woodshed and get through that period. Write those first 100 songs as fast as you can. They're all going to be terrible, but you need to write them so that you get to a self-awareness, a self-consciousness about what it is you're doing and what you're good at and what you're not good at. It's just time behind the pen, Ronnie. That's it.
Yeah. Like I'm looking at the clock, man, so I don't want to keep you much longer, but I love this knowledge, man. And I know that we're getting so much for our up and comers here, and that's greatly appreciated, man. But how do you coach writers to handle rejection and keep confidence whenever they're not getting cuts?
I mean, that's a trick, right? That's a trick. That's a psychological trick that you just got to be able to do to yourself. You can't let it get under your skin, right through it, man. Just write through it. Go tomorrow. Go write another song. Go write your way out of it. You're getting depressed. You're not getting any cuts. Go write a great song tomorrow and watch how good you feel. And you'll forget about all that stuff. Just keep going forward. That's what I would say.
Grit, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Grit and optimism, and just keep going,
Well, I think, and I think you answered it earlier, actually, because you were like, you never know which day is going to be the big day. Like, you never know, because sometimes you wake up feeling great and it ends up being a dud. And sometimes you wake up feeling like a dud and you're like, wow, I'm glad I didn't quit this morning because this ended up being a hell of a day. Yeah. So I think you said it earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can kind of set yourself up for success a little bit. For me, there's certain routines I think every writer or every athlete has before game day or before a writing session. I like to wake up at 5 a.m. and read for a couple hours, take over coffee, take an hour-long walk, go have a good breakfast, and roll into my writing session like an athlete showing up for a game. That just gets me sort of grounded and focused in a way that makes me feel my best. And that's my routine. I think if you talk to every writer, they'd have their own kind of thing that they like to do.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I'm learning as I start to get old that it's about doing certain things at certain times of the day. I'm getting better at that. I'm like, I need to do these tasks in the morning because it takes these skills, and I'm better at that in the morning than I am the evening. And I think it takes putting all of that together. Yeah, no doubt about it. Man, so just I guess I got 2 more questions for you because I always like to ask this, especially with great writers, man. So this is I don't know that there is an answer, but to Jim, what makes a great country music song?
A great idea. It's got to be about a great idea. A great idea makes a great song. I got a great friend runs a publishing company in Nashville, and he says good ideas make good songs, and great ideas make great songs. and I can't do shit with good songs. So it's great ideas, really, especially as somebody who comes from really the lyric point of view. I'm just always looking for a great idea, a remarkable idea lyrically, and then start from that. Now I say that, Take a Little Ride was written from a great guitar riff, but that is a great idea. That guitar riff was a great idea, right? So again, great ideas, whether they're musical ideas or lyrical ideas.
Yeah. It's kind of like in football, they say it's all about the X's and the O's. I mean, it's about the Johnnies and the Joes and not the X's and the O's or whatever. Like, if you got great players, you look a lot smarter as a coach, don't you?
Right.
Last question, I'll let you out of here, man. And you've already given so much, man. And I don't know what else you could add, but I always like to ask people that I respect this is what advice, Louisiana's got so much talent, man, all throughout the state, man, not only New Orleans, but throughout the state, so much talent. And there's so many up and coming artists that we're working with now. Just what advice would you give them if they're thinking about diving into this crazy world of music?
Well, if they want to write country songs, go to Nashville. I know there's the internet and there's all those things, but it really is, if you want to climb mountains, you got to go where the mountains are. And the relationships that you'll need to have a successful career are all in Nashville. And it very much is a relationship business. But, if you want to be your own artist and kind of do your own thing, it's back to the work, man. NSAI has that great saying, it all begins with a song. And I believe that, it's just, I think every artist, whether he's just starting out or whether he's, at the top of the mountain, is, the biggest decision they make is what songs to record and release. That remains kind of the biggest business decision they make, I think, all their career. And so I would say lean into the work, create remarkable work. That's going to be your best sort of, selling point. That's going to be your calling card. What's the quality of your work? Create something that people want, and things probably won't go wrong for you.
Yeah. I love it, brother. Well, I know whenever we talked this morning, we were talking about maybe we were like 30 minutes or so. You got the boys and all that. And I think we were just having a good time, man. So,
dude, you can't get two coon asses talking on a thing like this and make us shut up in 30 minutes. That ain't going to happen. Come on.
I feel bad because I told y'all, I said, I'm going to try to keep it at 30. But, I mean, your answers were so good, I had to keep going, man.
Thank you, Ronnie. It was a pleasure, man. Real pleasure.
Thank you, brother. And Karen says, thanks, Ron, as always. Thank you, Karen. Wonderful. And thank you guys for being in the comments and all that. And Jim, thank you, brother. Before I let you off of here, man, I really do want to say thank you from myself, from Alex, from CJ, and from all the other artists throughout Louisiana, man. Thank you for coming on tonight and sharing some of your wisdom and some of your time with us. This is a very big deal for us. It's important for us and what we're trying to do here in Louisiana country. You're one of the guys that we look up to, man. So you sharing some time with us is a big deal for us. And Craig DeRoche down there says thank you. Man, just thank you, man, for everything that you've done, laying the groundwork over the years, and thank you for being a part of this ride that we're doing now. So I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure, buddy. My pleasure. Anytime, Ronnie.
So, all right, man. Well, I will see you here, and we got something we want to ask you about Nashville too. Whenever we get off of here, so I'll see you here in Nashville soon. So
let's do it. You got it, man. Thanks everybody for watching.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, buddy. Talk to you.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining in. I see Kayla right there. Such a cool interview. Alex, tonight was amazing. Kay, hey Jim. Mary, what's up, Mary? Hadn't seen you in a long time. Great seeing LA finest. I'm going to assume you're talking about Jim on that. No, thank you for tuning in. I know you're talking about Jim on that one. I hope you're doing well too, Mary. It's been a long time, but thanks for tuning in. Thank you guys. If you enjoyed the show tonight, I keep encouraging people, please come back every Tuesday night, or at least catch the after we're not live or whatever, the replay or whatever. We have such great interviews every Tuesday night, and there's so many artists out there that we're dying to share with you guys. So just check us out every week. Make sure to follow, like, share. All those things help us show the whole world what Louisiana country music and what Louisiana country music artists, writers are all about, musicians. So thank you guys for doing that. Help us out. Check out our website. Thanks for tuning in. As always, the most important thing, God bless our Louisiana folks out there. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you next Tuesday night right here on Louisiana Country Music Live. Thank you, guys.